also, this is the official week. So we have so many events that we spread them out over the month, but this is our woohoo week. So let me just make sure that I let everybody into the room, admitting some more people here. Fantastic. So as we all get settled in, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Annie Gibbons. I'm the CEO of the Australian Traditional Medicine Society, and we are hosting all of these events for Natural Medicine Week. It's a fantastic time to just take stock of your own health and well-being, mind, body, spirit. And oh my goodness, I did that this morning, and it's just like, have a bit of time to breathe. And so it's going to be a really great session today, because we are going to be talking all about stress and how to remove stress. Let me just let a couple more people into the room. We are going to be talking about from tension to tranquility, a naturopath's approach to managing your stress naturally. Oh, so good, because let's face it, who doesn't get stressed? We all get stressed. It's how we use stress to our advantage a little bit, have not too much, and also just to keep it in check. So we have the best speaker for you today. Her name is Tracey Hogan. She is able to be able to put this all into a beautiful context. She's got a fantastic presentation ready for you. Tracey Hogan has over 30 years of experience in complementary medicine. She is a leader and an innovator in this industry. She works for BioGlan MedLab. Her expertise spans product development, technical education, commercial strategy. She's launched brands internationally. She's spearheaded large-scale industry initiatives. She is an amazing lady. She's also a former lecturer, a columnist, multi-modality clinic owner. So you have got the best sharing with you today, all about her knowledge in nutrition, herbal medicine, therapeutic goods, everything. All of her knowledge of 30 years is going to come into her presentation today. So join me in welcoming Tracey, and I'm going to hand over to you, Tracey.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming along today and listening to a presentation all about stress and how we can manage stress day to day, and the types of impact that stress can have on your body long term, and how to work with it rather than against it, as Annie mentioned at the beginning of the introduction. So thank you. So I think we'll start with, what is stress? So it is a physical reaction to an event. It does help to keep us safe, and I'll talk a little bit more about that just in a moment. It's a natural response to danger, and it's our body reaction to an internal or external stimulus. So your stress response can even be initiated by eating the wrong foods, really. And our body can react to it like any time of day or night. So if you think about, or can remember the last time you had a nightmare or a dream where you were running or something like that, and you wake up and you're actually, heart's racing, and you're breathing really quickly. So you've actually initiated your stress response even while you're sleeping. So that's a possibility as well. So let's look at what causes stress. And, it can be an event like even a traffic incident. I know a few weeks ago I was driving, and a lady came through a roundabout, and I had to give way to her. She was coming through the right, but she flew through the roundabout, and I hadn't even seen her coming. So I had to slam on the brakes, and heard the whole screech and the rubber burning and all of that kind of thing, and had to walk into a meeting as soon as I got to my destination. And I noticed that I had the stress response that had happened to my physical body, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. Social pressures, there's so much pressure, particularly on young men and women, about society and what's normal and what's not normal and all of that sort of thing, and how you look and how you act, that can cause stress. Toxic relationships, whether they're work or whether they're family or whether they're intimate relationships, that can have an impact and increase stress for you. And but internally and in your body. A lack of community or isolation. We all know what happened with the pandemic and how mental health became one of the prime health concerns of the population as a whole globally. Certain life events like a divorce or a wedding even, or a birth of a baby or moving house, they can be very, very stressful events. Health issues, if you're in chronic pain, for example, or if you have a physical job, but you've got an injury as a result of that job, then that can be a stressful for you to try and manage that, and also illness as well, because that can stress you out, particularly if you have a prolonged illness and you're fatigued and you still have to continue on. And poor nutrition as well. If you're not getting the right amounts of nutrients in your diet, your vitamins and your minerals and your complex carbohydrates, and staying hydrated with lots of water, that can contribute to stress too. So some other causes are change. Some people are really uncomfortable with change, and that can cause a lot of stress. Any type of bullying or harassment, think of school bullying or workplace bullying. A job loss, that can cause a significant amount of stress because you're looking at financial pressures and money worries. Grief, when somebody goes through a period of grieving, that can cause a significant amount of stress. And that's just not the grief and loss of people. It can be grief and loss of certain situations. And then, of course, the post-pandemic changes as well. There's actually a stress curve that I would like to share with you. And that just shows you that, if you're too laid back, then there's not enough stress. There's some stress is okay. Too much is not okay, because that can lead to anxiety and panic, and then burnout, where you're really fatigued and you have to take a significant amount of time away from your situation so that you can repair and replenish your body. So let's look at what happens to your body during stress. So I'll preface this by saying that there is certain trauma responses. We all know about fight or flight, but I'll just mention that there are other trauma responses or stress responses. There's fight, and that's where you would an instinctive response to turn around and fight the the danger. There's flight, where you want to just peg it and run away. There's freeze, and that can happen. Some people can absolutely freeze if there is a situation like that. And I chose this particular image because as a teenager, I walked onto a big sandstone rock and there was a brown snake there, and that was over the back of where I used to live. And I was frozen. I couldn't move. And it took me about half an hour to actually start to call out to see if someone could help me. And that, I think that's the only time that I remember the freeze response, but I remember it very, very well. And there's also fawn. And so if someone's undergoing significant stress, or they're being bullied, or they're in a bad relationship or something like that, they will do people pleasing. And that is doing things that they don't really want to do, and being very amicable and looking like everything's okay, but they're internalizing all of their stress. There's a fine or flag as well, where they downplay a situation, like, I'm fine, everything's okay, we're not having any problems here, where underneath there's a lot of stress and turmoil going on in their body. And then there's faint as well, where significant stress can cause a drop in heart rate and you actually faint in that kind of situation. But today we're talking about fight and flight rather than the other responses. So let me move this so I can see a bit better. That's better. So what happens during the fight or flight? It's a result of the central nervous system, and you might be able to relate to this. Pupils dilate, that so you can see the whatever the danger was, and we're part of the animal kingdom, so this goes back thousands of years as our response to try and survive situations. So our pupils dilate, our breathing becomes more shallow, it's breathing up here rather than deeper. Our muscles constrict, and that's so that we're ready to fight or whether we're ready to run away. Excuse me, the brain signals the adrenal glands to produce, cortisol and adrenaline to get us going. Our heart beats much faster. Our hands can shake, and our digestion slows down. And that's because all of the blood supply has scattered out to the muscles so that the muscles can take action and either help us fight or help us flee. And what makes all of that happen? It's the central nervous system. And we've got two major parts to our nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic. And the sympathetic nervous system, if you think about if you're in a dangerous situation, your sympathetic nervous system has sympathy for you, so that initiates that whole fight and flight response, which is, will I run? Will I flee? Will I stay? Will I freeze? What will I do? And then the parasympathetic nervous system is what you need to initiate when you're going to rest and digest after an immediate stressful situation. So after you've had a stressful situation, the response to go back to rest and digest, a lot of that happens via one of our nerves that comes out of our brain. It's called the vagus nerve, and that sends messages from your brain to your organs to, okay, I can regulate my heartbeat now. I can slow down my breathing again. I can now continue to digest my food, and so it settles everything back down again. So what it is, it doesn't really do the dilation of the pupils. That's a different nerve, but it does help the pupils constrict again back to normal. So it's the 10th cranial nerve. It comes out from your back here, goes down either side, and there's two parts to it. One sends messages from your brains to your organs, and then the other side of it sends messages from your organs back to your brain. So your heart might send a message saying, oh, okay, so I can slow down my heart rate now. Yes, you can. And so that's how that interplay works. The vagus nerve is really interesting. It's Latin for wandering, and it's where the term vague comes from as well. So yeah, it's that crosstalk between your brain to your heart, nervous system, digestive system. It has a role in inflammation as well. Sends messages to the liver and the kidney, helps to lower blood pressure as well, and it helps your body to slow down after stress. One of the key nutrients that is important for that pathway that goes on for slowing down heart rate is magnesium. That's quite technical how that works, but that's one of the reasons why magnesium is really good during stress. So is it stress or is it anxiety or is it both? So stress is a response to something external. It can be positive or negative. It goes away after the situation is resolved. If it's both stress and anxiety, you'll have excessive worry, uneasiness, tension. You might have headaches or body pain. You might have increased blood pressure, and sleep is often affected. So either trying to get to sleep or being able to go to sleep and waking up during the night, excuse me, and having, excessive worrying thoughts, or just, not being able to get into a deep sleep, or waking up and feeling really fatigued. Anxiety is more internal, so it's usually a feeling of apprehension or dread, and it's constant, you know, if there's no real immediate threat. And once you've been stressed for a while, and it's no longer what we call situational stress, or it's a specific problem that becomes chronic for you, it can affect your body in a lot of different ways. And I have a list here. So it can affect your heart, so high blood pressure, high cholesterol. It can increase the incidence of diabetes. A stress response can trigger an asthma attack. Chronic stress can increase infertility, can reduce your libido. If you're a female, it can affect your menstrual cycle, can make the menstrual cycle either too short or too long. Get easy fatigue, cramps, aches, pains, be more prone to injuries because you know, you're under chronic stress and you're not actually thinking about what's going on for you right at the second. You're thinking about what's causing the stress. So in the gastrointestinal system, it slows stomach acid. So you're not digesting your food properly, you're not intaking your nutrients properly. It can increase diarrhea. I know that there's a lot of people, if they have an event or a speaking engagement or something like that, they'll have to go to the loo multiple times before before they do what they need to, you know, before they have the speaking engagement. Or even gastric ulcers can be caused by stress. The immune system, you can have weakened immunity, and from a skin, hair and nails perspective, you can get acne. Hair loss is a big thing, you know, and if the body's under significant stress as well as your mind, you can experience hair loss. And increased incidence of headaches, increased incidence of insomnia, and sleep disorders as well. There's a colleague of mine who specialises with migraine, and I know she's doing a webinar for Natural Medicine Week on the 30th of May, and that's her area. So that's one of the areas that she looks at is stress with regard to that. So how can natural medicine help? There's a lot of different ways that particularly natural medicine can help where it comes to stress, and whether it's chronic or long-term stress, or whether it turns into mild anxiety. So replacing nutrients, using herbal medicine. So there's herbs that are called adaptogens, and they help your body to cope and adapt to stress, and help or allow the body to return to homeostasis. And there's a multitude of them. I'll just talk about one particular one today, but there's a multitude of herbs that can be used for working with stress, and whether it's stress or brain fog as a result of stress or poor sleep, herbal medicine is fantastic. But there's lifestyle adjustments that can be made from chronic and long-term stress, and just little things every day that can help to bring you back to equilibrium. There's dietary assistance that a natural medicine practitioner can help with. Body work like regular massage or shiatsu, or just all of the different types of body work. Learning to breathe, and whole body guidelines as well. So excuse me. And staying hydrated is really important as well. So let's look at a few of the different types of natural medicines that can help. Before I go on to that, I just wanted to mention that there's before, my practice now is solely on a Saturday, and it's more about stress and burnout and recovering from abuse recovery. That's where I work, but that's my special interest. But I will mention that when I was at more in general practice, we had, and I'm sure other complementary healthcare professionals would agree, that a predominant amount of people that come into clinic are really suffering from long-term stress, and they might say, I'm not stressed, I'm just coming in for my irritable bowel syndrome, or my difficulty sleeping, or my continual muscle cramps, or my upset stomach, or I've got a reduced appetite, or I'm comfort food eating, or I'm worrying about my kids. And so it's really interesting that it might not just be the symptoms that you're feeling physically. There might be underlying stress. There can be a whole lot of other reasons as well, but quite often it is stress. So looking at some of the nutrients, the first and foremost one is magnesium. So 1 in 3 Australians, that's according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, they don't get enough magnesium. It's an essential mineral for us. We have to have it. It's involved in so many major enzymatic processes in the body, over 300. I think I read a paper that it was like 600, but I think predominantly the literatures say 300. And there's this vicious cycle that happens when we're stressed with magnesium, which is really, really interesting, from a biochemical perspective. So what happens is when we undergo fight or flight, and you might remember I said that the muscles constrict, and so for muscle relaxation, you require magnesium. So when the muscles really constrict, you excrete your magnesium. Now, that's so that you can fight, and so the muscles can stay really tense. But when that stress is gone, but we're still in that situation of we're thinking that we're under threat all of the time, the magnesium will continue to be excreted rather than held onto, so that we can relax our muscles. And that's when we need it. We need the magnesium when we're stressed. So it's really interesting. So that's why you have to replenish and make sure that you're getting enough magnesium. Nuts and seeds are good sources of magnesium. However, that's provided that the soil isn't magnesium deficient, and it can be depending on the pH of the soil and where it is in the tablelands, which I find that quite interesting. Also with nuts and seeds, if you think about the amount of nut allergies that are around now for children. So a family, if someone has allergies to particular nuts, then they won't have that in their house, or they may not have that in their house for fear of causing a reaction in the child. And then the schools don't have them anymore either. So that's losing a source of magnesium. So it's something to think about anyway. So magnesium, I just pulled up 2 papers here for anxiety. After stress has become long-term and chronic and it's turned to anxiety, a systematic review shows that it significantly reduces anxiety scores with mild to moderate anxiety. And then even for conditions like depression, it can have a beneficial effect and have significant reductions in depression scores on validated score sheets, which is what a physician will give to you. And then as you remember, I spoke about adaptogenic herbs. So I'm just going to look at one adaptogenic herb, and that's called ashwagandha, or Withania somnifera. And ashwagandha, it's a traditional Ayurvedic or Indian medicine herb. It can be helpful in the treatment of sleep disorders. It can help improve stress resilience, so it helps the body adapt to stress. it can help to reduce anxiety, can help with stress management, and can help with cognitive function as well. So as I mentioned, you know, some people will get brain fog, so they won't be able to recall words, or they won't be able to think things through, or the words don't come. And that can help with mania. It can help. There are other herbs that can help with that as well. So there are many different types. When you think about herbal medicine, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of herbal medicines globally. And one herb might have lots of different iterations. So they can have different different types. So there can be different ways that they pull the what's called the active constituents out of the herbs. So they might use water, or they might use milk, or they might use ethanol and water, and that extracts all of the constituents out of the herb that have the benefit and the action in the body. So that can make a difference. The soil that they're grown in can make a difference as well. The parts of the herb that have the action, the constituents, they might be at a certain level every single time the herb is grown and harvested and then tested. So time of harvest can have an impact on how effective a herb can be, the reliability of the testing, and then the plant parts as well. So a root of a particular herb might have a different action to a leaf or a flower. So looking at the ashwagandhas, I've just got 3 here. They're 3 branded ashwagandhas, so they have clinical trials behind them, and I just wanted to share those with you because you can see that they've been clinically trialed for different iterations of stress. So this one, Sensorial, had an 8-week randomized double-blind placebo-controlled study on chronic stress. And they found that 62% stress reduction in everyday stress was found after a period of time, which I think is really great. The second one is called Shoden, and that improved restorative sleep. So, you know, going into a long and deep sleep, that improved by 72% over 6 weeks versus a placebo 29%. And then KSM 66, that's another type of ashwagandha, and a DAS anxiety score. It's what's called a validated questionnaire on depression and anxiety symptom scale. And so anxiety, sleeplessness, the score was reduced by 75%, and then the stress score was reduced by 63%, whereas a placebo, which is the you know, the fake medicine that they gave, was minimal. That just goes to show you, you know, that that's only one herb out of a multitude of herbs that can be beneficial for the symptoms of stress. I'd like to talk about theanine as well. Oops, let me just change that slide. There we go. So theanine is it's a non-protein containing amino acid. There's sources of it. There's green tea, and there's corn-derived sources as well. That promotes relaxation without sedation. It's able to boost alpha brainwave activity, and I'll talk about that in a minute. It calms the mind. It supports healthy stress responses, and it reduces the time to fall asleep, and it relieves restless sleep as well. It's fabulous. I really have a soft spot for theanine. And how does it work? So it works on the neurotransmitters in the brain, but it also works on the brain waves. So having a look at this, there's a few different types of brain waves. So there's gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. and just having a look at the different brainwaves. The alpha brainwaves are relaxed alertness, and that's where you're at your most creative as well, when you're into alpha. And one of the practices that can get you into alpha is having a meditation. And then after you come out of a meditation, you're like, oh, that was great. And you feel very centered and very calm. That's when you're in alpha. Also, if you go for a walk, or and you're trying to problem solve and the solution comes to you, then you know that you're in alpha. Or even if you're in a shower, and some people, when they're washing their hair, they go, oh, okay, that's the solution to that problem, and that's probably when they've dropped into alpha as well. Now, the beta brainwaves, they're the higher engaged brainwaves. So beta is when you're highly engaged, when you're learning something, when you're having a back and forth conversation with someone that's really animated, you might be in beta. But there are 3 levels of beta. So there's that highly engaged, and then the next level of beta is where there's more stress and anxiety, and then the next level up again is the chronic stress and anxiety. So what you want to do is you want to be able to get out of that high level stress. The brain waves just keep going and going and going. So you're in that fight and flight all the time, and that constant kind of stress. So the theanine can help increase the alpha brainwave activity, which is that relaxed alertness and that sense of calm. And so, and it works quite quickly as well. So herbal medicine or adaptogenic herbs, what we're talking about in this instance, can take a little while to kick in. Sometimes they work immediately. It really does depend on the individual. And sometimes they might take a week or 2 to gently bring you back to center. The theanine can work quite quickly because it crosses the blood-brain barrier as an amino acid. And so some parts of the literature will say even 20 minutes, and then other parts of the literature will say that it reaches plasma levels in about 3 hours. So if you've got that stressful meeting that you're going to go to, or you've got a stressful family event that you've got to attend, that's where theanine is really good to take prior. The theta brainwaves are more, I've got a diploma in clinical hypnotherapy, so that when you take a person to an area of suggestibility, that you take them down to the theta level. And I think that's the area, when you just in between sleep and wakefulness, that's theta. Delta is that really deep low brainwave that you have when you are in a really deep sleep, and then gamma is really very much the higher brainwaves and the higher mind faculty. So with theanine, its mechanism of action, it competes with glutamate. It increases the alpha brainwave activity. It helps to modulate your neurotransmitters, so they're the messengers within your nervous system. And it really is a fabulous amino acid. I recommend it highly. So let's have a look at some tips to manage stress, because from a complementary medicine perspective, you want to be able to look at everything, diet and lifestyle as well, to help manage stress and to help bring you back into balance. So just some standard tips: get out into nature as much as possible, or whenever possible. That's really, really important. Share the load too, whatever's going on in your life. If there's someone that you can speak to about it, whether it's a trusted family member, whether it's a talk therapist, whether it's a complementary healthcare professional, whether it's a good friend, it's really good to talk things through with another person, because you can get a fresh perspective. Do a digital detox. That is imperative when if you think about the amount of stress that everyone is under constantly, and a lot of individuals will sit and scroll as a way of what they think is stress relief, but it's actually quite addictive behavior. There's this really great book called Stolen Focus. I highly recommend everyone read that. And he talks about digital detoxes, and also how different companies use that kind of gambling mentality in order to, if you think about, when you pull down your phone, it refreshes, it's like a poker machine type thing. And digital detox as well, all devices, and, and even switching the TV off whenever you can as well. Learning to deep breathe, that's really important, because quite often you shallow breathe when you're under a lot of stress. So, breathing in for 4 and then breathing out for 6 before you go to bed at night. Take 3 or 4 deep breaths, in and out, and see if you can get comfortable with the amount of counts that you breathe in, taking an extra 2 when you breathe out, and that helps you to learn to deep breathe. Part of journaling that's another way to share the load as well, just getting your thoughts down on paper and really spending time just writing about what's happening with you. Another really good book is called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. She talks about morning pages, and every morning when you wake up, you just grab a little journal like this and you just write whatever comes to your mind, whether it's, I just had this crazy dream, or I wonder what I'm going to do today, or I've been thinking about this. And there's no judgment, it's just write it down. And that if you are uncertain about what's causing your stresses, that can allow it to bubble up through the journaling and through the writing, and you can see, oh, okay, that's what's going on, that's what's causing the problems. Eat a wide variety of complex carbohydrates. Quite often when you're stressed, you reach for the comfort food, or the takeaway, or the chocolates, or the lollies, and that kind of thing. I think it's important to really go back to basics and eat some good quality complex carbohydrates, like whole grains, and like choosing brown rice over white rice and that kind of thing. Supplementation, including magnesium. And I didn't mention B vitamins, but they are really important if you're under any type of stress, particularly when your diet isn't enough. Your B vitamins run all your energy production in your body, and they're really important, even for supporting the liver, and your liver metabolizes all your stress hormones. So that's really important as well, to take a good quality B vitamin, or even a multivitamin. Regular exercise. So sometimes the last thing you feel like doing is doing any type of exercise when you've been under stress, but even just getting out for a 20-minute walk a few times a week will help. There's plenty of online exercise programs as well. It doesn't have to be jumping into a gym 7 days a week like a maniac. It's just getting started, and once you get started, you'll start to feel better within yourself, and that helps get you out of your head and all of those stressful thoughts and back into your body as well. Finding your passion, that's really, really important. So whatever you are passionate about, that was one of the major questions I used to ask when I had full-time practice, and it's always surprising. A lot of people say, I don't know. But, when you say, what are you passionate about? I don't know. So, whether it's a hobby, whether it's dancing, whether it's drawing, whether it's going for a long hike out in nature, whether it's going for a long drive, whether it's going for a swim. So whatever you love to do, make sure you introduce that back into your life if you haven't been doing that. That's imperative. Getting a good night's sleep, because you need at least 7.5 hours sleep just to rest and replenish, and for all of that spinal fluid to circulate and to detox your brain as well. Reducing alcohol, reducing caffeine. Some people live on caffeine when they're stressed. It's not good. Just, you know, if you can replace it with like a chamomile tea or a dandelion tea or something like that, at least 1 cup of coffee, if you can replace that, that's great. And processed foods as well, reduce those. Incorporating fresh fruits and vegetables, and also minimize and good quality protein as well. I haven't added that there, but good quality protein, like a good quality meats and fish, but particularly maybe not farmed fish, but fresh caught fish, and try and minimize whatever's causing the stress wherever possible. One of the other things that it's really important to do is rest. And there's a lady called Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith, and she says that there's 7 types of rest, and I'd love to share these with you. So there's the physical rest, so checking, making sure your workstation's healthy, that that your circulation's good, that you're getting enough sleep. Mental rest, so all that processing and reasoning, and making sure you've got enough white space in your mind to think of solutions to problems. Spiritual rest, whether that's faith-based or a sense of belonging, your sense of purpose and what drives you. Your emotional rest, so processing, being authentically you. As I mentioned before, journaling, that helps with emotional rest as well. It helps to get it out. Because if you're not emotionally resting, you might be one of those people pleasers that I mentioned before, like with those trauma responses, fawn, it's people pleasing, and not having healthy boundaries as well, not being able to say no. Social rest. So sometimes with the people in your lives, do they pull from you so you stay away from them, or do they energize you and make you feel good? And then that's those people you want in your life, and so that helps with social rest. Sensory, so sights, sounds, smells, touch, taste. If you're an introverted type of personality and you're in a really busy workplace, that can be a sensory overload for you. So make sure you take time out and time away in order to get sensory rest. And then creative rest. So, where you find your inspiration, and if you're not sure what to do with that, like do something different, walk a different way to work, go to a different center to do your grocery shopping, do something a little bit different, and think outside the box. It's like, oh, I've always done it that way. Do something a little bit different, and that will help as well. So I hope, or my hope for you today is that you've picked up some nice ideas and tips for stress management. And I will hand back to Annie now. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That was just so much information and so, helpful. I loved all your pictures. I was just studying them all. Everyone in the chat, I'd love to hear your thoughts, your questions here now for Tracey. Tracey, if you want to just stop sharing your screen, then we can see you all a little bit more clearly. We've got 15 minutes together, so we can easily go through a few questions. We've got one in the chat from Jenny. Says, I'm taking Thyro HPA Fort N from Biopractica, which contains ashwagandha. Is this a good brand?
I think all of the complementary medicine brands have value. A lot of all of the supplement companies are I don't want to say under, that's not the correct word, must be compliant with the Therapeutic Goods Administration of Australia. So they have to have evidence for all of their ingredients within their supplements. So I can't particularly endorse or comment on a brand, because as a healthcare professional, it's actually illegal for me to endorse a brand. So I can't say yes or no. I can only say that if you're taking that and you've been recommended that by your healthcare professional, then definitely go and talk to them about why it is that they chose that particular supplement for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. Hope that helps, Jenny. Exactly. We can't promote brands. And definitely, if you are a health professional, you certainly can't promote brands. Saying that, it's all about, that's right, why you were prescribed that. Are you on the right dose? That's where you can easily, and I've fallen into this as a consumer. I can go into, Priceline or Chemist Warehouse and go, oh, I've heard this is good. I heard Jenny or someone talk about it on a show or a podcast. And so this is why we encourage you through Natural Medicine Week to really just take stock and think about even sometimes what are you on, what is your health like, and then it's about finding a trained practitioner. And on the Australian Traditional Medicine Society website, atms.com.au, we have a a practitioner. So if you don't have a practitioner who's qualified, you can find one there. And that's where you can go and see a naturopath and go and say, yeah, well, this is what I've previously been prescribed. Do I need it anymore? Is it at the right dose? Is there something else that I could be having at the moment? So there's so much to it, but so it's not really that, is it good? Pretty much everything that is officially produced is, if it's got a TGA approval stamp on it, then it's going to be a good quality product. It just means that, is it the right product for you, and is it of the right dose for you? So hope that's the right information, Tracey.
Yes, very good.
It says never buy supplements from Chemist Warehouse! Exclamation, exclamation. Because that's the risk, isn't it? Right? Because you can just be then just swanning along the aisles and go, oh yeah, I've heard this could be good for me. But what's your response from that as a naturopath? Why do people go, oh my goodness, yeah, like definitely don't do that? Why should we definitely not do that?
Why should we not visit?
Definitely just go in or anywhere. Why should this self-prescribing? Now we can put into AI our symptoms and it can recommend it. We can listen to a podcast. We can, get so much information. And so why should
Mhm.
we not, I'll just mute someone. Why should we not just go and do that, browse along a supermarket or a retail shop in that way?
Well, I think for some supplements it's okay. I think if it's more along the lines of a specific condition that you're wanting to look at, and you're wanting advice on what's happening for you and what's happening for you in your body, then a qualified healthcare professional is your first port of call, 100%. But if it's, oh, I just want a general, a general multivitamin, it's always good to, to do your research, have a really good look. Most of the products that are within Australia are under therapeutic goods. What I would recommend is not buying online, because overseas products don't generally abide by this really strict guidelines that the Therapeutic Goods Administration do. And the other thing is too, is that qualified healthcare professionals can make medicines for you. They can tailor a liquid herbal medicine blend that's specifically for you and specifically for what's happening with you. And yeah, I think for day to day or every day, I can't say that it's not okay to go and pick up a supplement from a store. I think that's suitable as well. It also depends on your situation at the time. I hope that helps with that.
I'm sure it does. And yeah, I would relate to that. I've gone on, just multivitamins, or a blood test told me I was low in vitamin D. So you could have some D, but it's more of a, well, why am I low in something? And is something else happening? If
Yes.
you're wanting to do that drill down, that holistic assessment of your whole body and health and what's going on in your life, that's where it then obviously goes to another level. Lots of beautiful comments, amazing talk. Thank you, Tracey. Here's a question for you. Is there a particular magnesium you'd recommend? You recommended amino acid L-threonate as your favorite. What about that one and the most bioavailable types of magnesium?
Okay, there's a few. Magnesium glycinate is bioavailable. Magnesium citrate is bioavailable. Magnesium amino acid chelate used to be called amino acid chelate. It's usually bound to something called glycine, and that's why magnesium glycinate is very similar or sometimes the same. Magnesium orotate is really highly bioavailable, but it bypasses mechanisms in the body. So you bet, I think from a rule of thumb that, unless you're under a qualified healthcare professional, you're better off with a citrate or a glycinate. And then a magnesium oxide is not so bioavailable, and that's the type of magnesium that can give you a bit of diarrhea. And sometimes magnesium oxide is put into supplements because it's easier to fit into the tablet. And so something like a magnesium glycinate will only have 11% magnesium and the rest is glycine. So it's about how much you can fit into supplements as well. So they're my main magnesiums, but there's magnesium threonate as well. That's not listed in Australia at the moment as a listed medicine with the therapeutic goods, and that's particularly good for brain health and cognitive function.
Thank you so much. If anyone else has got a question, just drop it in the chat for us. I'll ask your question, Tracey. In your presentation, you mentioned that 1 in 3 are low in magnesium, which is quite astonishing. Is that a global stat that's similar, or is something happening in our cropping in Australia that we're really they've just ripped the magnesium out of our soils? And is it the same all over? Is there particularly states that we should be aware of that could affect? Like, what's the whole deal there?
Well, that was based on the Australian Bureau of Statistics, or the Australian Institute of Health and Wellness. There's this really neat, I don't think I can put my hands on it at the moment. There's this really neat global map that shows different soil, different depletions of different minerals. So for magnesium, I think we're not the most deficient. One of the ones that we are really deficient is selenium in our soils, and you need selenium for all of your antioxidant enzyme processes. So with the magnesium, I think the incidence will vary depending on the country and depending on the soil, but for us it is about soil depletion. And I know that they're biodynamic farming, they rotate their crops, and they take steps to make sure that the soil that they're growing their produce in is really nutrient dense and nutrient rich. But some of the the major producers may not have that amount of care. Not saying that they don't care, but they may not have that amount of care where they're really wanting to make sure that they have enough of all of the nutrients within the soil that we don't have anymore. I mean, pesticides, we've got lots of pesticides and lots of toxic byproducts and that kind of thing in the soil these days. So some of the nutrients are being displaced.
Yeah. Fantastic. Oh, so interesting. A lot of more brilliant points, learning new things about the addition of fine and faint regarding the nervous system, triggers and responses. Thank you for sharing that, Simone. We've also had a question from, does stress affect the absorption of nutrients in the gut, and should a gut protocol be implemented to ensure proper absorption? It sounded like that in your presentation, that it slows down the gut. So is that why?
Yeah, it does. And digestive protocols are just as important as well. And when you look at the neurotransmitters, or the nervous system and the nervous system messages, one of the reasons for irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease is, it can be due to chronic stress. So you can do the symptoms with the gut protocol, but if you're not dealing with the underlying stress, you'll only get so far. So, you know, a good probiotic is really important as well. But just honestly, dealing with the underlying condition. So rather than just the symptoms, looking at the cause and what the cause is. So I think, thank you. That's a really good, that's a really good question. And stress definitely inhibits the absorption of our nutrients, because what can happen is your what's called your transit time. So that's the time it takes from when it goes into your mouth and goes into your stomach and then into your digestion, into your intestines. If your transit time's too quick, you can inhibit the absorption of your nutrients. If you're having too much fiber is really good. It's really important, but if you've got too much fiber, that can inhibit the absorption of the other nutrients. So there's a lot that can go on with digestion and, you know, particularly with stress.
Wow. Yeah, we had Rebecca Lang talking about her cold press juicing and actually said that same point the other day, and I've just correlated it. She goes, because you can't have too much fiber, whereas I've grown up people going, oh, you need lots of fiber. And then she actually said that, no, you can overdose on fiber. So it's really interesting when you start coming along to all of these Natural Medicine Week presentations, how it starts to link together. There's this has been a record number of people attending online. So stress is obviously a very big issue that, you know, we all get stress at times, but it's really great to actually go, yeah, this is why it's happening. This is what's happening to your body, but also start looking into, if you can at this time, to just start delving deeper and working with a practitioner to find out the causes, because that's it. We don't want to keep going on the roller coaster ride, do we? If you don't have to, we want to be able to be preemptive and knowing why certain things trigger stress. I noticed in your presentation, you know, even anxiety can cause stress or something. And I remember when I was a kid and I had severe asthma, and I could even have, if I went out and I suddenly thought I don't have a Ventolin on me, I would have an asthma attack, like just triggered. And my parents were going, that is ridiculous. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It was just the fear or the anxiety just did it. It's like amazing. So I know that's probably a little bit on the side, but it can just trigger a health problem just because of the thought of it. And then I learned to, that's it, find the one that I didn't need to worry until I had a problem. And two, even if I did, I learned the earlier warning signs so that I didn't have this medical condition happen unnecessarily due to adverse sort of effects. So amazing. That's all we have time for today, everybody. This presentation will be, all of them are recorded. They are on the naturalmedicineweek.com.au website, where you've registered for these events. So you can always watch the recordings. We've also got them on our YouTube, our Friends of Natural Medicine YouTube channel. So we'll make sure that you all know those. Just by coming along, you also get the opportunity. Oh, we've had someone just join us now. We're 2 minutes to go. You also have the opportunity to, you'll be starting to get little, every 2 weeks, a little email from us that hopefully adds value. It links you to our Friends of Natural Medicine podcast that we have. Also some healthy recipes and blogs by our qualified practitioners. So there is so much that we'd love to share with you. We're all about educating the public on a variety of natural medicines. We represent 20 different modalities in Australia, and we make sure, and all of our practitioners are highly credentialed. They all have all of the professional development, insurance, first aid, everything that they need to be able to serve you well. So keep your questions coming, keep engaged with us. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We have a webinar every week, every day. And so interesting. Join with me in thanking Tracey. She's been an outstanding presenter today. So thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us today. Bye-bye.